In Roman mythology and religion, Quirinus is an early god of the Roman state. In Augustan Rome, Quirinus was also an epithet of Janus, as Janus Quirinus. His name may be derived from the Sabine word quirus, spear. Etymology. Quirinus is probably an adjective meaning wielder of the spear. Other suggested etymologies are from the Sabine town cures, from curia, i.e., he was the god of the Roman state as represented by the 30 curies, first proposed by Craechmer. A.B. Cook explains Quirinus as the oak god, and Quirites as the men of the oak and spear. History. Quirinus was originally most likely a Sabine god of war. The Sabines had a settlement near the eventual site of Rome, and erected an altar to Quirinus on the Collis Quirinalis Quirinal Hill, one of the 7 hills of Rome. When the Romans settled there, they absorbed the cult of Quirinus into their early belief system, previous to direct Greek influence, and by the end of the 1st century BC, Quirinus was considered to be the deified Romulus. He soon became an important god of the Roman state, being included in the earliest precursor of the Capitoline Triad, along with Mars and Jupiter. Varro notes the Capitolium Vetus, an earlier cult cited on the Quirinal, devoted to Jupiter, Juno and Minerva, among whom Martial makes a distinction between the Old Jupiter and the New. In later times, however, Quirinus became far less important, losing his place to the later, more widely known Capitoline Triad. Later still, Romans began to drift away from the state belief system in favor of more personal and mystical cults. In the end, he was worshipped almost exclusively by his flameng, the flameng Quirinalis, who remained, however, one of the patrician flamens majors, the greater flamens, who had precedence over the Pontifex Maximus. Religious historian A. Brelich has argued that Quirinus and Romulus were originally the same divine entity which was split into a founder hero and a god when Roman religion became demythicized. Among the features of Romulus that make of him the human equivalent of Quirinus is his death at the hands of the Paters, which occurred on the dative, the Quirinalia, February 17, also the last day of the Fornicalia or Stultorum Feriae according to Ovid's Faster 2 481 ff. Brelich maintains the identity of a god and founder hero with a staple food of a community, spelt in this case, is a well-known theme in anthropology, as shown in the myth of Hanu-Wuli, which Jensen named as Dema myth. The possible presence of the flameng Quirinalis at the festival of Acca Laurentia would corroborate this thesis, given the fact that Romulus is a stepson of hers, and won the original 12th Arval brethren. The identity of Quirinus and Romulus would find a further point of support in the parallel with Vophionos, the third god in the triad of the Grabovian gods of Igivium. Vophionos would be the equivalent of Liber or Tutates, in Latium and among the Celts respectively. Depiction. In earlier Roman art, he was portrayed as a bearded man with religious and military clothing. However, he was almost never depicted in later Roman belief systems. He was also often associated with the Myrtle festivals. His festival was the Quirinalia, held on February 17. Legacy. Even centuries after the fall of the Roman Empire, the Quirinal Hill in Rome, originally named from the deified Romulus, was still associated with power. It was chosen as the seat of the royal house after the taking of Rome by the Savoy, and later it became the residence of the presidents of the Italian Republic.